going on, guys? So today we're back with another Pokemon Masters video, and today we're actually going to be doing something a little bit different. So we're actually going to be going over 5 different sync pairs that I personally think would be cool to have included in Pokemon Masters. So these are kind of like, I did them in order of like the most wanted, so I'm going to do these in reverse from bottom to top in the list that I made, but you guys wouldn't know the difference to that. I don't know why I mentioned that. Basically, these are 5 Pokemon that I really would like to see in the game, and because we have sync pairs, I needed to find trainers that these Pokemon usually battled with. Now, most of the trainers come from the anime. By the way, these are just completely made up anyways. They actually do have the Pokemon in the series at some point, but it's just for fun, okay? We're just doing this for fun. We're not doing this, I'm not like submitting this to DNA and saying, please, if you would, make these into the game, please. So the first Pokemon that we're gonna be going over is Gardevoir. And Gardevoir actually has a relatively cool trainer. In the anime, there is a character called Diantha. I really hope that's correct. And they're just really cool. I'll have some footage playing in the background so that you guys can kind of see some visual aids of what I'm talking about here. But, you know, what do we need in Pokemon Masters? Fairies. And when do we need them? Yesterday. So I really think that because Mina is our only fairy type attacker at the moment, it'd be great to have some fairies, and it'd just be great to have some fairies in the house, am I right? So what better fairy to introduce into that role than Gardevoir? But we're actually going to take Gardevoir in a slightly different direction here, and we are going to try to make this into some more of a support unit. I know I just was complaining about more fairy attack power, but hear me out. This is going to be a unique support that can actually do some type of damage. So basically, all this is going to boil down to a decent moveset. So here's what I'm thinking. 2 damaging moves to start off with as just Gardevoir. We're going to have Disarming Voice and Draining Kiss. So both of these will give some relevance to Gardevoir as a fairy type attacker, while Draining Kiss also will double as a way to kind of heal ourselves a little bit. Now for our other moves, I really want something that Gardevoir can use and change the entire field to her advantage. And I'm going to keep saying her just because Gardevoir looks like a feminine Pokemon, but I know it can be both genders. Either way, I'm thinking of something like Misty Terrain here. Something that actually changes the entire terrain and just changes the entire field of play to be something that kind of works towards Gardevoir. Now, the reason that this would be interesting is because some of the stages that we already have in the game would be heavily affected by this. Misty Terrain has some weird effects where it doesn't allow certain status conditions to go through. So if you are trying to be put to sleep, you actually cannot fall asleep under Misty Terrain. And it also really affects Dragon type Pokemon, which would actually be kind of cool. The sleep issue would really help in Berry EX. I think that would be a really cool interaction. And then we also have Claire, which would actually be kind of cool to go up against and have Misty Terrain so that you could kind of reduce some of the damage that your team takes and stuff like that. That would kind of be cool. That's just a thought though. Lastly, we do have our signature trainer move, which each one of these trainers are going to have a signature trainer move that I tried to come up with. This one's literally just going to be called Checkmate. So there's a reason that it's called Checkmate, because the episode where Gardevoir is debuted with Diantha, Team Rocket actually captures Gardevoir, and after Gardevoir Mega Evolves, she breaks out of this like cage type thing with a Shadow Ball, and she comes down and she says, Checkmate.
And checkmate. Excellent work.
Which I think would just be really cool. What it's actually going to help us do though, it is going to actually increase our accuracy and our special attack. Which, now that I think about it, it might have been better to have something that increased some defenses, but I don't know. This was pretty much what I came up with though. So, our sync move could easily have been called Mystical Dazzling Gleam. Basically, it just allows us to Mega Evolve. We're going to do a little bit of damage, but we're also going to Mega Evolve here. So once we Mega Evolve, this is kind of where things get pretty cool. So what I think would actually be interesting here after we Mega Evolve is if we get rid of Draining Kiss and we actually give Gardevoir Moonblast. So the whole idea here is that Gardevoir has a way to change the entire terrain or the field so that it gets some type of boost for itself and for any other non-dragon type. It kind of helps with status conditions and things like that, so it kind of helps with certain things. And then after we Mega Evolve, because if you're going to be using your freaking Sync move on a support unit anyways, we might as well make it pay off pretty well. So in this instance, we Mega Evolve, which does mean we get a little boost in our stats, plus we're going to actually ditch the way that we can heal ourselves with Draining Kiss in favor of more damage output. So we're actually going to replace that move with Moonblast, and that kind of gives us a little bit extra oomph after we Mega Evolve, but it also does remove our chances of healing ourselves any. So of course, the reason that I actually chose Diantha and Gardevoir is because the game just really needs some more fairy type representation. And the idea more of a support role that can do some damage, I think is kind of interesting, but it would be really hard to balance in a lot of ways. And what I came up with is probably not balanced in the slightest, but it would just kind of be a really interesting interaction. So our next Pokemon is another not very widely talked about Pokemon, and in the anime has pretty much a hard time getting a lot of airtime, but you know, there's a lot of these Pokemon out there, so kind of no problem there. But Gligar is of course one of my favorite Pokemon, and as I just said, there's not very many trainers that end up utilizing a Gligar in the anime. There is one that I found that actually had some interesting scenes with him. Morrison uses a Gligar in a fight at some point, and it's a really cool fight actually. But I think it would be cool to have Gligar as a ground type attacker and a flying type attacker, kind of have like a dual typing kind of thing going on here. Basically just start out with some basic moves. As far as our moveset goes, I think Bulldoze and maybe introducing a new flying type move like Acrobatics, or if you want to stick with something that we already have, maybe like Aerial Ace or something like that. I'm not 100% sure if Gligar can actually learn Aerial Ace. Probably will edit that in. Then in terms of our trainer moves, we could have maybe like some X speed or something that could increase evasiveness. There's this kind of interesting fight that Morrison and Gligar are going through where Gligar is basically getting just punched at by this Machamp, and it's just kind of flying around super fast. It's evading all these attacks, and Machamp is just throwing every freaking punch that it can get in, and it just doesn't work. And Gligar just completely evades most of those, which is kind of cool, kind of funny. So as far as the signature trainer move goes, I definitely want something, as far as a name, I'd like to just call it Nice Work, because Morrison actually does say that in the episode. He actually says nice work to Gligar, and it's kind of like a good job kind of thing. So
Champ mounts a comeback with dynamic punch, but just can't seem to put it together. Jaeger, nice work. Okay.
I think it would be interesting to increase our attack and then increase maybe some move gauge here. Maybe just by a couple of bars or something. Nothing too crazy, but just kind of give that feel of even more speed to the whole sync pair itself. After we do evolve into Gliscor though, we could basically just drop Bulldoze and maybe give it Earthquake to kind of give it a little bit more extra power. And then basically we have our sync move, which could be called like Gliding Guillotine or something like that, because in the episode, Morrison actually instructs Gligar to use Guillotine quite a few times, and it's really interesting. Guillotine, I'm pretty sure, is also like the last move that Gligar can learn by leveling, so kind of interesting in that way. Just for some reason, I've always thought Gligar was really cool. I don't see a ton of people talking about him. He's just one of those very interesting Pokemon that just, I don't know, he's weird, and it's probably because he looks like a bug that I like him so much. Number 3 is actually going to be it's from the main series. So this is actually a Galar sync pair, Alistar with Cursula. So I'm hoping that I'm doing Cursula justice there. It's not Cursola. I don't. That doesn't sound right, but whatever. Cursula, which in the games, Alistar actually has Gligar as his last Pokemon, and he Gigantamaxes it, and yada yada yada, which is all fine and dandy, but we already have Agatha. And unless you want to work Alistar in with Gligar and then give him some type of gimmick that lets him like have like a Dynamax type situation where he maybe like Dynamaxes for 2 turns, 3 turns, I don't know. It doesn't really like set really well right now in the whole scheme of Pokemon Masters. So Cursula being a Galar exclusive Pokemon, I definitely wanted to kind of pair them together and see if I could make something cool out of it. So this is definitely going to be more of a tech role, and like many of you probably just played through Sword and Shield, there were many trainers in Sword and Shield that could definitely be in the spot, but I personally really liked Alistar. Something about him was just so awkward and weird, and it was just really cool interacting and battling with him. Now, in Sword and Shield, his final Pokemon, like I said, is Gligar, who he does Gigantamax, but that serves a really big problem when we have Agatha, and she's already got a Mega of that too, so it's not like it's... I wouldn't want to copy and paste Gligar over and over and over in this game. So as far as this moveset goes, I really think that as a tech role, we need some way to kind of have a really odd way of interacting with not only our team, but the opposite team as well. So I think Hex should be our only damaging move. It's not super powerful, it's single target, nothing crazy, but it'll be something that we can use to attack with. Then we have Safeguard, which actually keeps all status conditions away from our side of the field. So I think that's kind of interesting because we don't really... I mean, we have Marley who has... Does she have Safeguard? No. She doesn't. She has We're Standing Strong. So this is something different, okay? This is something unique to Alistar and Cursula. So basically, it's going to be Safeguard, which actually prevents all status conditions from, at that point, being inflicted to our Pokemon. It doesn't remove them, it just prevents them from being inflicted when it's used, okay? Then we're actually going to have Spite. Now, Spite is currently not in the game, and it would actually be tweaked to kind of fit the way that Masters works. In the main series games, it removes 4 PP from the opponent's last used move, which is kind of interesting. So I was thinking, what if we had a tech role that could help like disrupt the move gauge on the opposite team? So Spite normally reduces the PP of the last used move, but what if Spite could remove a gauge out of the opponent's move bar? Imagine that it costs 1 bar and then it can only be used twice, but it basically would remove 1 bar from the enemy team. That would be really cool, especially in some of those EX challenges where like Erica, it takes a while for Erica to get charged up to do her moves, and if you had a Pokemon that could basically slow her down even further, just 1 bar at a time, like, oh, that would be so cool. As our trainer specialty move here, we are gonna go with something like, here we go. That is actually a line that he says in the main games, which will fill the move gauge by 1 and remove all status conditions from our allies. So that actually kind of works in tandem with our kit a little bit. It gives us 1 bar back. It's not supposed to be like super powerful, and it does remove all status conditions from our side of the team. So if you kind of think Alistar and Cursula plus having like maybe Gardevoir like we were just talking about would be kind of a really interesting interaction. 2 Pokemon that have a way to basically protect like everything on our side of the field, but yet also like disrupt the enemy, and like, oh, it would just be so cool. It would be super cool. So our sync move could actually just be called something like Spooky Shadow Ball, which actually would deal more damage if you aren't affected by a status condition. So that all kind of ties together there. So in my opinion, Alistar was a really cool trainer from Galar, and I know a lot of people are gonna go with like Bede, Leon, Hop, or even Marnie in this place, but I just really liked Alistar and would definitely love to have him in Masters. Number 2 in this list, okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and spoil a little bit. The top 2 Pokemon are bugs. If you're not a bug fan, I'm sorry. Bugs are cool, all right? So first one that we're gonna go over is Conway and Heracross. So Heracross is one of my most beloved Pokemon. I love him to death. And Heracross actually has a few different appearances in different parts of the franchise. Ash, of course, had his Heracross, but I doubt we get to see Ash, just like I was talking about earlier. I doubt they're gonna like bring him in at all, and if they do, they're definitely not going to waste it on Heracross. And then there's actually a long list of people that have used Heracross. Forrest Franklin used him, Gordon, and even Barry. Yes, the Barry that's currently in the game with Empoleon. Out of all of these, I think Conway seems to fit the best. Conway fought alongside of Dawn and used Heracross in a battle inside of the anime. So as far as our moveset would go, I kind of did the same thing that I did with Gligar here in a way that it's a split moveset. And we just kind of get more powerful as we go. So I like the idea of having two moves here. Mega Horn and Brick Break sound pretty interesting as a dual type attacker. As trainer moves, As trainer moves, Conway could possibly have a way to increase attack by using like X attack or something like that. And as a signature trainer move, I would definitely give Conway through till the end, which is actually a line that he uses in the scene after Heracross basically gets burned. But it would basically bulk up Heracross with the defense and the special defense. And Conway is kind of straight to the point with Heracross and doesn't really like do anything besides bark commands. So, poor Heracross, really. Retaliating Reversal could be our sync move, which would allow us to Mega Evolve into Mega Heracross. And this is where I think it would be cool to switch things up. After Mega Evolving, we could actually take the two moves that we had and we could swap their importance. So if you'll notice, I said Mega Horn and then Brick Break. So Mega Horn, of course, is going to be the bigger move there, and it's going to be the one that's like going to be doing more damage. But once we Mega Evolve, what if we switched it and gave something that was less damaging in the bug type section, something like Pin Missile, and then we switch the fighting type move over to Close Combat, something that's like way stronger than the bug type move after you Mega Evolve. It would just kind of give some interesting dynamics to Heracross like after you get like so far in the battle. So as you can probably tell, I definitely love bug type Pokemon. Heracross has always been a near and dear Pokemon to me, and I would love to see him in Masters. Although he doesn't really have a great companion to go along with. Conway's Heracross also never Mega Evolved, but whatever, screw continuity. This is my wants, okay? So the final Pokemon that I really want, so this is like, at the moment, this is my #1 Pokemon that I want in Pokemon Masters. As I've already revealed, it is a bug type Pokemon. And I swear, if you can pause this video and you can guess who it is, after you unpause it, you just get these claps, man. That's so good. Okay, our #1 Pokemon that I definitely want to see in Pokemon Masters is Scyther. And one of the best trainers to pair him up with is Tracy. If you guys remember, way back in the original series, Tracy ended up finding that Scyther in the forest with Ash, and they basically cared for it after a little while in the Pokemon Center, and they went back and ended up stopping Team Rocket from taking all the Scythers. Is perfect. So Scyther does have a few appearances with a couple of different trainers throughout the series, but I think Tracy makes the most sense here. Bugsy already has Beedrill in the game, and he could technically get a Signasuit with Scyther, although I don't think that Bugsy is going to warrant enough interest to really do that. Blue also did have a Scizor in the manga, but I'm really looking for someone who could utilize this quick little Scythe wielder here. Red, for what it's worth, also seemed to have a Scyther at some point, but we know they are going to waste their time on giving Red Scyther. That just is not going to happen, I guarantee it. Now, as far as our moveset goes, I really want something that's going to be quick and like really fast and just kind of all over the place. Just kind of chaotic for Scyther, because that's kind of the vibe that I get from Scyther. He's all over the place. He's running over here and he's slicing over there and he's doing this and doing that. So I want something like X Scissor for our big damage, and then Fury Cutter for something that can like just kind of tack on some like little chip damage. Something to just give us some speedy attacks, really. Then give Tracy the ability to use a potion, because that does actually hone back to what he does in the episode. He tries to give Scyther a potion, and Scyther jumps up and he ends up denying it, and then they end up taking him to the Pokemon Center, yada yada yada. Definitely want to be able to restore some HP on this guy. And then as a signature move, we're going to go with "You're okay, buddy," because he actually says that in the series, and it just feels so right. Which, in my opinion, I feel like I like the fact that it could increase attack and increase evasiveness, because there are several points in the episode where he like yells out to Scyther. Tracy yells out to Scyther and says like, dodge this attack, do this, move there. And Scyther starts to listen and he starts dodging things. He tells him to use double team at one point and he completely dodges Arbok's attack, which is just amazing. I love it. Best thing ever. As far as our sync move, I thought Slicing Sword Stance. So in the actual episode, the Pokedex actually reads out loud that Sword Stance is actually Scyther's like signature move. It's like a unique move to it, and he just kind of like spins around in the series and he like gets rid of all this like fog that coughing or wheezing puts out, and it just kind of seems like it would be cool. Slicing Sword Stance just kind of sounds cool. It kind of rolls off the tongue. Definitely I would want some kind of animation that like really resembles how Scyther just demolishes Jesse and James and Meowth in this one scene, because he gives them a haircut, which just, oh man, it's so good. So Scyther is just one of my all-time favorite Pokemon, and I would have a hard time deciding if I would want to evolve him or not. If they give him to Tracy, if they ever give him to Tracy, I just desperately hope they don't allow him to evolve, because he technically didn't evolve. He wasn't even known to evolve at that point, but Scizor is cool, don't get me wrong, but God, Scyther is just like one of my absolute favorite Pokemon. Just so good. So that is actually my top 5 most wanted sync pairs in the game. It's a little unorthodox. Only one of them actually like goes together in the main series games. So I know that it's not really like plausible that most of these happen, but in a weird fantasy like alternate universe, this would like just be just the best ever outcome that I could imagine. So we are gonna do a quick sync pair scout because we always end up doing one. I do kind of still want to go for Elisa, and I don't plan on recording any more videos for today. So we're actually going to do one summon on this Lance banner, and then we'll go back and do one on the Cynthia banner. So if you want to follow along on the count of 3, it'll be 1, 2, 3. So no flashy animation. Not looking too hot if we really want this Elisa. What kind of antenna? Anything? Just a 3-star antenna. So can we get trolled by the doors? Please? Just some 3-star doors, and we get a Marley, which we kind of brought up in this episode, so that's okay. Alright, so let's run back here. We'll go to the Cynthia banner. Can we do it? Can we do it, guys? Can we get the one sync pair that that's literally the only one that we need. Sweater Vest Cybold is besides the point, but on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. No flash animation. I'm so hopeful, and I kind of get let down, but it's all good, man. She'll be here in time. I know she'll come hang out with us. You know, she likes to hang out. Ooh! Oh, it's Brandon. I read, like, I'm gonna be great like my dad, and I was like, dude, what the? So, how do I have Brandon to 5 out of 5? Alright, well, Brandon is now to level 5, which is great. That's pretty freaking good. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm not gonna risk my luck. I'm not gonna spend 300 gems just to get nothing. But that is actually gonna be it for this episode, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out. Thanks so much for watching. I would love to know what you guys hope to see in terms of sync pairs down in the description below. If you guys can't post in the description, how about post them in the comments? That'd probably be a little bit easier. I definitely kind of want to revisit this idea every now and then. Kind of just come up with some different Pokemon that I really like. These are definitely not my top 5 like all-time favorites. Scyther and Heracross are definitely like some of my top 5 favorite Pokemon, but Cursula, Gardevoir, and Gligar's actually up there pretty high. So I would say 3 out of 5 of these are really highly like personal to me, but the other 2 were just kind of interesting like ideas and things that we could do that I thought were kind of interesting. But either way, let me know what you guys want to see, and in terms of just like sync pairs and pairings that we have no idea what we're gonna get. I really hope that we get a Trainer Joey, but I didn't feel like, you know, I should have included him. Honorable mention, Trainer Joey with a Rattata that can evolve into Raticate. It has Hyper Fang, it has X defense all because it's a tech unit, and it's got a way to flinch the opponent, and it's cool, okay? It's just cool. That's all you gotta know. So that's actually going to be it for this video, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out. Thanks so much for watching. As always, remember, if you want to join the Discord, just link down in the description below. Also down there are links to Patreon and YouTube memberships if those are your thing. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and head out, and I will catch you in the next video.